But if I were using the word greatness right now, the way I think we react to it when we hear it, it's a synonym for vanity. And so the basketball player with the great gift of being able to slam dunk the ball or score 60 points in a game defines greatness as the 60th point, not in the eyes of the child who saw the last shot go in. So how do we change our view of even the word so that it sounds more like what you've described and less like what I've described?
By having these kinds of conversations. For me, the greatness in that moment is that slam dunk represented a tremendous amount of joy for a lot of people. And the greatness is in the fact that the stadium is full of people who come to appreciate the expertise or the ability so that it's a reciprocal thing. So in other words, I think we have to have these kinds of conversations. There are lots of people walking around today who have a personal sense of smallness, many of us because that's what we were told. Of course, many of us are small in stature, but I mean, you know, but we've been told that greatness represents, you know, look at what he did, look at what she did. Now that's being great. So, you know, we have to shift the paradigm to understand that we are all a part of this greater thing. And I think it really is all about having these kinds of conversations, helping to reinforce people to understand the fullness of their potential, and that greatness is in all of us, that each of us is a little chip of that greatness, and that there's a joy in participating in that, and that it's beyond us as an individual.
Things that you said that I want to focus on, and see if you can come down to real specific points in your life. One is that we ingest a fair amount of the negative that says we can't, we aren't, we're less. I'm interested in if you can identify a time when you ingested that. And the other is this notion that we remind ourselves of the other truth and how you do that. So let's start with the negative. A time when you've ingested something like that.
I grew up in the 60s, 50s and 60s.
Okay, that's enough on that. No, go ahead.
All right. So I ingested a great deal of negative talk about who I was as a person, as an African American, as a man. Ingested a lot of dialogue about that and worked very, very hard to move through that. But even in the last couple of years, found myself in situations where I realized that I was still holding on to some of that self-doubt, because it can really, really run deep when you see the people around you being treated in a certain way. So, you know, that was a really powerful thing for me.
Would people be surprised to know that in the last few years that you've had those moments of self-doubt? Do you suppose around you that people would be surprised to know that?
No, because I tell them about it all the time. I do. I say to people, you know, I mean, however evolved we are, we're constantly working on that. In any moment, you can fall into that pattern. And that's why it's important to surround yourself with people who encourage you. Surround yourself, put yourself in situations where people are sharing those kinds of conversations, where people are sharing their hearts.
I am terribly uncomfortable with people saying, oh, but I love this about you, or you really like this thing that you do, or especially when they say it to somebody else in my presence. Are you suggesting that on the other side of that I've got to get a circle of people around me who say, Keith is great, Keith is great?
No, I think I'm going to suggest to you that when someone gives you that compliment, that you say, thank you, and you believe it. You know? I mean, I had the same problem. You know, people would say, oh, I really love your music. I'd be like, no. And then, you know, because we've been conditioned to say, you know, my father used to say, don't get too big for your britches, boy. You know? And I've been in a lot of situations in my life where I'd come through and and afterwards I'd be like, oh man, my britches are getting a little tight, you know? So there's this fine line between, I think the key is, again, shifting the mindset to say, I do what I do because it brings me great joy and it brings value to the world. It touches people in a positive way. Now when people say to me, I really love it, I say, thank you. You know, it's really an honor to be able to do what I love and touch the world.
Can you identify the value to the world that a song provides?
Yeah. Even a gathering. Just a gathering. Like a lot of the work that I do now are with people's words. You know, to be in that place, to realize it's why you're doing what you're doing. And I get a tremendous amount of joy from sharing the gifts that I've been given to help empower people to just, you know what? It's great just to have fun. Fun is a great thing. We forgot about that. Joy is a really incredible. It's okay to have fun, to laugh, to enjoy life. It doesn't get any deeper than that. You ever had a belly laugh that you just were laughing and roaring? It felt so good. And you wanted it to end because you didn't want to pass out, but you didn't really want it to end. It's okay. You know, celebration is incredible.
Yeah. How do you hold on to it? How do you sustain it? How do you take some of the qualities that you've identified and over a long period, over your life, sustain it?
Prayer. Again, trying to put myself in situations where I'm around people who are inspired to understand those kinds of things and share that communication. In my daily practice. But prayer and meditation and just really, thinking and remembering the importance of